Thinking about ways we might resolve some of these issues and manage some of these issues at a city governance level, I'm deeply informed by this game which is called SimCity 2000. And for those who don't know, SimCity was a game that was largely responsible for keeping most children in the 1990s inside and never really seeing the light of day. And it's a game where you get to be the mayor of a city. You get to build the roads, you get to put in all the land use zones and all the various services and city ordinances and sometimes stave off alien attacks as well. And it's one of those sort of games that was really popular for my generation and really put my generation in the driver's seat and gave us a critical lesson about the challenges of succeeding in local government. Fortunately in the game there was a no disasters button which would stave off various the disasters like floods and fires and public rioting. And I'm sure many of you in the room today would wish perhaps you'd have one of those buttons, no disasters. So by day, land use planning policy at EPA. By night, founder and director of OurSay, a media platform that connects people directly with people in charge. And at OurSay, we believe that good decision making will only occur when leaders and media, along with citizens, all play an active role in that process. And so OurSay was actually founded out of this organisation, the Centre for Sustainability Leadership, which aimed to promote sustainability by getting people passionate about sustainability and giving them the skills, the networks and the knowledge to put them into positions of power and influence. And every week for about a year, 25 young aspiring leaders would come together and learn from accomplished leaders and captains of industry and CEOs and politicians and learn all those insights about how to progress change and how to shift the community towards sustainability. And it was in one of these sessions that was led by a senior minister of the state at the time, where OurSay had the light bulb moment. And it was the senior minister who asked the question, how many of you are members of a political party? How many of you aspire to be politicians? And not one hand went up. And so it sort of begs the question really, well, you've got 25 aspiring leaders in a room and not one of them see politics or even government leadership as an avenue for change. We've actually got a real problem here. And recently this anecdote, I guess, was backed up by the Lowy Institute's report on attitudes to democracy, which found that only 39% of 18 to 29-year-olds actually believe that democracy is the preferable form of government. I'm not really sure what the 61% of others are really thinking, but it's quite an extraordinary attitude. But you don't really have to go far to understand why this might be the case. We know that the leadership standing of government is often questioned and is pretty low in our society. And so when we think about trust, and when we think about engagement, and when we think about accountability, we don't necessarily associate these ideas with government leadership. And so for OurSay, we thought, well, if democracy and government is not really a platform to connect and engage, where are people connecting and engaging? And of course the answer is, Facebook, everyone's on Facebook and Twitter. And back then that was 2009, and now we're talking about a myriad of other platforms and websites where people can actually connect, share, open their world and share ideas with their community. And so that's why we built OurSay. We wanted to build a place where any citizen could register an issue and promote that issue and vote for issues that they really care about and are really passionate about and use social media to make some noise. OurSay would be to actually get the leaders responsible for that issue and get them to respond. Now, the trick with OurSay is that we actually get the prior commitment from the leaders. So no matter what happens, most votes, you have to respond. And so over the last 12 months, we've run about 25 public forums where we've invited a community agenda, crowdsourced online, and we've put CEOs, politicians, and leaders of government in the hot seat. And we've enabled those leaders to become accountable and to engage directly with the community in a very public way, and thereby build trust. And so, I guess the three lessons that we've learned over the last 12 months to 2 years around building some of these things is that in order to build trust in government and democracy, you need three things. First of all, leaders need to be politically courageous. They need to take risks and they need to start sharing control with their community. And in doing so, will build political capital. The media also has to play a role in this. The media needs to shift from conflict and controversial-based reporting to reporting that treats the community not as consumers but as partners in that, and seeks to genuinely inform the community and keep them in the know. And actually, citizens can't skirt from their responsibility either. Citizens need to take responsibility for the issues that they care about and take ownership of those issues. And so what this means for local government is that you guys actually have to start facilitating and creating a platform where leaders can give up a bit of control, where the media can access and also lubricate the discussion, as it were, and also enable citizens to take control and to take ownership of their world. And from time to time, recognise that sometimes government doesn't have all the answers. So if building trust through engagement and accountability is the thing we need to do, how is it then that our experiences of engaging directly with the community don't always meet our expectation and ideas of greatness? How is it that we end up with situations like this where we reach out and we ask for the community to say, hey, what do you want us to do? And no one rocks up. You know, we're doing a vision statement here and we have a town hall that's empty. And we make that assumption, yeah, that perhaps a passive community is a happy community. And, you know, we as a government, they're happy with what we're doing and we don't really need to keep engaging and seeking their authority. Well, actually, the issue here is more a function of timing. And you see, in decision-making processes for government often saturates community engagement at the start of that decision-making process, and you can see that with the red line here. And so there's plenty of forums where we're inviting citizens and we want to really test the pulse here on what the community want. And then over time, as the engagement doesn't fire up like we expected, our efforts decline over time. But then at the other end, when we're getting closer to a decision, the community become very engaged, even outraged, and that's the blue line. Because as you get closer to a decision, they realise that that decision is going to impact them. And now you end up managing a gap, yeah, where you've got a very engaged community and not a very engaging government. And so the key lesson here for local government is that engagement can never really stop. That you must be always turning to the community to seek their authority to act on their behalf. And of course, in a connected world, we're used to this. In the future, and even now, the tools that the community can use, engage, and access any time and anywhere are very prevalent. And so you're always plugged in. And governments need to understand that they need to create a constant and accessible and ever-present position in that networked world, because this is social media and this is the power of social media. And that fundamentally the authority has shifted, because if I'm pissed off with a government decision, it only takes me seconds to And so the culture shift here is that city governance is no longer about assisting citizens to live their life. It's no longer about helping them pay their rates on time or collecting their rubbish. City governance is now about enabling and facilitating citizens to design a future in which they aspire to live. Governments need to find and tap into their collaboration gene. But sharing control is not always intuitive and a natural thing for you guys. In fact, your businesses aren't even established or set up to give up control or authority, because the Act says that you are the responsible authority. And so when governments enter into the social media world, a world that celebrates sharing and proliferation of ideas and empowerment, the two systems of organising are in direct conflict. And this is something government needs to overcome. Because now there is a greater expectation for community autonomy and community control, which also means there are great opportunities to engage people to actually shape cities for themselves and allow the citizen to sit in the driver's seat. And that's okay because our generation has some direct experience in that. So, OurSay has done some pretty cool things. An example is the People's Question. This was a project where the most voted registered question on our side was planted into question time in Parliament House, symbolically opening up parliamentary processes to citizens. An Australian first and perhaps a world first too. But it's projects at the local level that are going to really count and where the greatest impact will be felt. Because local government are actually the most connected to the community and often the arm of government that is left to fill the complex policy gaps. Health, preventative health, learning, lifelong learning, achieving environmental sustainability. These are complex challenges. But the critical challenge for you guys is probably best summarised by the former Secretary to the Department of the Prime Minister and Cabinet, Terry Moran, who I heard last week speak at a public policy forum. And Terry Moran questioned the leadership capability of your sector by stating it does not see local government as an enduring partner in the delivery of policy and programs. Now, that's quite an indictment on your sector. So if we could re-establish trust with local governments, then leadership capacity will follow. And perhaps local government could be that enduring partner. So by opening up to your community and saying, and putting your council leadership in the hot seat and saying, look, community, this time it's over to you. This time we are listening. What are your issues? What is the direction you want to take this council in? Because we'll make that happen. The picture of local government leading change could be radically different. And so today I'm inviting all of you to talk with us. Later on we'll have a station at the front. And we want to invite you to this program in October where we want you to put your council leadership in that hot seat and ask that question, what have you got for us? And we'll work with you to get the community engaged in that process and let them design and let them lead the change with government for the future. So on that note, I'd like to thank you very much for your time and also thank the mayor as well for inviting me here.